BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, I'm David Currie and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need, even if you didn't think you did, on Friday the 21st of February as we look ahead to a packed weekend of football.
Olise curls it in, it's over, diving header, Schmeichel, and then it's forced into the back post. It's heartbreak for Celtic. Alphonso Davies has scored in the final minute of stoppage time to surely send Bayern Munich through to the last 16.
Celtic are out of the Champions League, and after what might have been in Munich, they make for Leith.
I want that we play proactive football. My building blocks are from control, dynamic, got to be goal-oriented. Yeah, and actually an atmosphere also to the fans. I think it's a traditional club, and a traditional club needs intensity.
Can new manager Michael Wimmer get a tune out of off-key Motherwell when they travel to Tannadice? Plus,
a totally new feel to this camp, and I'm excited to get to know the younger players, the new players that have come in, and work with Mick as well and see how this week goes. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
A new look Scotland kick off their Nations League campaign against Austria.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sport Scotland.
Our podcast people today: Gemma, the former Scotland goalkeeper and a man of many clubs, Lee Miller, including Dundee United and Aberdeen. He also played for Hearts and Kilmarnock. I don't have time to go through them all. Good morning to you folks. Let's start off with Hibs versus Celtic tomorrow. Lee, I wonder, what bearing might Celtic's Champions League heroics, a case of close but no cigar, have on this game?
Well, obviously they were so unlucky the other night against Bayern Munich, but they'll come back and Brendan Rodgers will have them well tuned in to what they have to do. Going to Easter Road, it's a hard place to go, but Celtic have got the squad that they can rotate all over the pitch, to be honest. So no, they'll be on song, I think, going to Easter Road, and they want to put on a show after what was a tremendous performance over in Munich. So no, I don't think they'll be lagging, if anything. Everybody will think it'll maybe be a banana skin, but Hibs are a good side. I've been impressed with David Gray so far. So it will be a tasty game, but I think Celtic will win that game. Yeah.
Gemma, your thoughts? Hibs 12 games, is it now? Unbeaten in all competitions. Maybe a wee bit lucky not to get beaten by St Mirren on Sunday.
I wondered when that was coming.
but they're kind of out the habit of losing, aren't they?
They're out the habit of losing, but they have drawn 4 and 6 as well, which is it's a great run. And given where Hibs were at the beginning of the season, so I don't think any of us thought we would be talking about 10 games unbeaten in the league and 12 in all competitions. And indeed, the last time they lost was to Celtic back in December. But Hibs' record against Celtic's not particularly great. I think they've won 1 in 24. So I'm with Lee on this one in terms of. Brendan Rodgers would have planned his team rotation way back. He would have known exactly what team, bar injury or illness, that he was going to be putting out against Hibs. That work would have been done. And as much as Hibs are on a good run, I just think Celtic's strength and depth, and they know how to play post a Champions League match. They've had enough experience of that this season, and they've got enough players who want to be playing week in, week out, who he's managing really well, giving a taste, at Mida, etc. So I think Celtic will be too strong for Hibs there.
I see you're both calling that as a win for Celtic. No surprise there, I don't think.
I've got a great record at this game. Calling everything correct.
Good stuff. Let's talk then Aberdeen against Killie. The Dons at last won a Premiership match last weekend against Dundee. The big question, start with you, Gemma, this time. Can they make it 2 league wins in a row? Bearing in mind they're playing against Derek McInnes's Killie, who've won, 4 of their last 5 league matches against the Dons. Remarkable stat.
Yeah. Well, we start with the good, which was Keskinen's strike against Dundee was fantastic.
Unreal.
And that they got the win. The the not so good and the pretty ugly was like they had to hang on with everything that they had to get that win. Now maybe that will be the momentum changer, you don't know. But the way in which Kilmarnock dispatched St Johnstone last weekend was quite clinical. And look, as I said, that momentum might help Aberdeen. They've finally got that monkey off the back. They've got that win. Kilmarnock are good though. Yeah. Kilmarnock are, as I say, a clinical team. McInnes is a shrewd manager. So even though it's up at Pittodrie, I'm edging towards Kilmarnock taking something like that. It might be a draw. Kilmarnock might nick a win. But I don't think it's going to be that clean cut for Aberdeen.
Always a wee bit of added interest, Lee, as well, when Derek McInnes faces his old club.
He will relish that challenge. He'll be buzzing to go up there off the back of a really good result against, not just a good result, a good performance against St Johnstone. He'll have his team well equipped to go up to Pittodrie, and it's a difficult game to call that, because Jimmy Tleen, he needs to start winning. I know he's won the last two with Dunfermline in the Cup and Dundee in the league, but he needs to start going on a roll. And like Gemma said there, is the Dundee game the catalyst for them to go on a crazy run like they did at the start of the season? I don't know. But I think Derek McInnes is a very experienced manager and he'll probably know Aberdeen inside out. And he knows what his team's capable of. So I don't know. It's a hard one to call. A really hard one to call that.
So you're going to call it?
Nope.
I gave you three options, David. I gave you a draw, Kelly winning, and Aberdeen winning.
I think a score draw.
It's probably about right.
Discretion, the better part of valour in that one. Let's talk Dundee United Motherwell. Another intriguing match, as my old mate Jim Spence would say. Michael Wimmer takes charge of Motherwell for the first time when they head up to Tannadice. But here's a curious thing. Jim Goodwin saying it's not ideal to be coming up against a team with a new manager. Do you get his logic there, Lee?
Yeah, I do, because the new manager coming in has already, having spoke to Lennon, he's already starting to implement what he's looking to do with the team. And Lennon was pretty impressed with what he was trying to do in the training pitch. That's all said and done. It's all right doing it at the training pitch. The players need to go and produce that on the pitch. Difficult venue for Motherwell to go to, but I'm looking forward to seeing what tweaks that Wimmer's going to make to the team. Hopefully they can get another victory up there. The last time they were up there, they won 2-1. It was a really exciting game, actually. I went up to that game. So, I don't know. Dundee United are good, not on a great run. They beat maybe, is it the last four? Lost in their last four outings. But Motherwell aren't on a great run at all. Something has to change. And hopefully this is a wee springboard, the new manager bounce, if anything, at the weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
You're allowed to tell us what the tweaks are?
No, I'm sorry.
Although they've got Sam Dalby, Gemma, they're struggling for goals, Dundee United, over the piece. I've only scored a couple in their last, 7 games?
Yeah, they've hit a little blip, and then Motherwell aren't a great team for them this year. They've lost both games against. I remember that 4-3 game as well. So I can understand the comments that Jim's made in terms of facing Motherwell. I think the other thing for Dundee United is that when we hear Wimmer talk about what style he wants to play, it's an intense attacking football. Well, that's going to take a little bit of time to get there. But that's not kind of the team that you want to face with a new manager bounce as well, which you're looking for, which seems to be emanating from the club. So it's a tricky one for Dundee United, because they, as you say, they haven't been scoring freely. They're on this kind of losing streak, 1 and 2. But if that goes to 4, 5, and 6, then you start to get into territory of confidence levels dropping, etc., etc. So, and in terms of where they are in the league position, it's really tight in terms of a couple of wins and you're shot right back down that league table. So I think this is a really important one for Dundee United actually to win. But I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think that you will get reaction from Motherwell. Wimmer seems to have energy to him, I think, in terms of what he wants. He likes, I think one of probably the attractions for him coming to Motherwell is that youth system, is that academy. So you might see a few more of those younger players given that opportunity, which automatically brings in energy and an appetite to the team. So I think it's a really intriguing fixture.
Is there such a thing, Lee, as we hear talk of it, the new boss bounce? Does it exist?
Yeah, I think it does. It does. Everybody's playing for their spot in the team as well. It's a fresh, if anything, a lot of the players will look at it as a fresh start. To go and show the new boss what they're all about. So he's not had a lot of time to work with them. So it'll be interesting to see the team line up and how he's looking to play. But he will have his own thoughts and methods on how he wants to play football. It's just how soon can he get that implemented into the squad. But no, it's an interesting one. But Motherwell win. Away win.
Alright, Gemma?
I'm not going to argue with this man about that.
Fair play. Right then, moving on, folks. Rangers at home to St Mirren next. Again, extra interest in this one because of the possible talk about a possible takeover involving the San Francisco 49ers. That might lighten the mood among Rangers fans somewhat, but I wonder, Gemma, do such kind of noises off stage, as it were, do they seep through to players and staff and have any impact whatsoever on what happens on the pitch?
I think this noise is a positive noise, which is different from all the other noise that Rangers have had and the fans have had. Because in my mind, this sort of takeover is the only way I can see Rangers being able to re-establish an opportunity to challenge for that top spot. This kind of investment. And I think it's not just the investment. I think it's the clear plan and clear way in which this consortium execute its business. And you've got an example of that for the likes of Leeds United. So in terms of how they recruit players, it's strategic. In terms of bringing in people to get a club to work collaboratively together to all work in the same direction and go in the same direction. It's systematic. And I think that Rangers fans have been calling out for a direction. They've been calling out for the club to work together. They've been calling out for clarity in a lot of things and a clear vision for what Rangers will be moving forward. And I think if this takeover is successful, I think that's what it will give them. So I think this kind of noise is actually a really positive noise for the fans. I imagine it would be a positive noise for Clement to an extent, because it may mean that he stays, it may mean that he goes, but what it will mean is there will be more than likely a budget available that I don't think he's really had to be able to go out and say, these are the players we want, this is what we want to do. So in terms of noise in the system, I think this is a positive noise. How is that going to impact against your beloved buddies is the question that you want answered, David, isn't it?
Yes.
Look, I think Rangers versus Hearts last week, did they deserve to win that match? Probably not. Did they win the match? They did. They took their opportunities, and it's like the old adage, it doesn't matter how you win it as long as you win it, and it was important they did. And they seem to do this. They seem to play absolutely, have a terrible result, and then they bounce back and pull a good result out the back, which is, we've seen that pattern a few times with Rangers this season. I think what they have now is they had this awful run of not being able to win away from home. They now kind of put that to bed. They've won, I think, 5 in a row away from home now. They come up against St Mirren, and yes, we know the last meeting wasn't terribly successful for Rangers. That was a great victory for St Mirren. St Mirren, though, are not... They're struggling in front of goal. And I know they've always chipped in from various different parts of the field, but they're struggling a little bit. I mean, I think the less said about the Hibs versus St Mirren game, the better, because it was pretty awful. I think Rangers will have a little bit too much for St Mirren at Ibrox.
Lee, Gemma's referring to St Mirren's 2-1 win there just at Christmas time, but they've not had a back-to-back win against Rangers since 79-80, before either of you two were on this planet.
Just
the same.
So history doesn't really favour St Mirren in this, and St Mirren, what, 6th at the moment, but they've got a tough run of fixtures coming up. They've got Rangers, Hearts away, then Celtic at home. If they don't get points on the board in these next 3 fixtures, they could plummet down to near the bottom.
Yeah, but I think you could say that about quite a lot of the clubs. It's so compact that from 3rd all the way down to 10th, I think there's only 9 points, 10 points, which isn't a lot. So no, it's obviously a difficult fixture for St Mirren. Rangers, like Gemma said, they weren't great against Hearts. Hearts should have probably won the game. They had enough chances, but Rangers came away with 3 points. And the last time out, obviously, we all know what happened the last time out at Ibrox. Rangers go down to defeat against Queen's Park. They want to make that right. And obviously St Mirren are going there trying to get the win. I don't think the takeover thing will bother the players at all. I think a lot of the fans I've spoken to, Rangers fans, are delighted and just want some sort of clarity on the whole situation. And it is a positive moving forward because the talks are ongoing and in an advanced stage, I believe. So that's, if anything, it's good for Scottish football. Money coming in Scottish football, whatever team it is good. And it'll mean hopefully they can try and sort out a challenge towards Celtic, because Celtic are running away with it. They're absolutely brilliant. They're well run, they're well managed, they're a really good club. So Rangers will want anything to try and bridge the gap, if anything.
So how are you calling this one, guys? I think I know. But
I think Rangers will edge it. I don't think it'll be comfortable. I don't think it'll batter them because they're well drilled, they're well organised, but I think they will edge it. Because they've got a point to prove after the last outing at Ibrox, getting beat off at Queen's Park. I think they will win the game.
Gemma?
Oh, I agree.
All right then, we'll move swiftly onwards with the speed of many antelopes. Ross County, Dundee next. This is another couple of the clubs in that big knot of teams, isn't it, Gemma?
Yeah, I think this is the game of the weekend because of all the connotations that it could have. You've got Ross County coming off the back of that really good win against Motherwell. You've got Ronan Hale, who is bang in form. You've got Dundee Dundee, who are struggling of late. And you could just listen to Tony Docherty's press conference talking about they're masters of their own destiny. There's no place to hide at this point of the season. They have to go out there and be brave, etc., etc. But it's an interesting one to call, not just because of where both teams are in the league, not because the implications if Dundee lose, and we'll come on to St Johnstone in a moment, but if St Johnstone manage to beat Hearts, then that's really tight at the bottom of the table. But as Lee said, if Dundee win, that's them up to 30 points, and all of a sudden they jump up the table. The kind of key thing is that Ross County haven't won in their last 5 at home, and that gives Dundee, I think, a chink of light, because the last, I think, 4 or 5 times they've beaten Ross County, it's been up in Dingwall. So I think it's a really difficult one to call. I think the form guide says that Ross County will take this, but it would be interesting to see Dundee's reaction from that loss to Aberdeen.
Something's gone strange with Ross County. They're kind of kings of the road. All of a sudden, they'd probably prefer to be playing away.
Yeah, and I think that might be the downfall at the weekend for Ross County, because watching them at Fir Park recently there, they just sat in, they just absorbed all the pressure, Motherwell had all the possession, and they just caught them on the break. And they played it really effectively. And you could see, that was clear for all to see, that was their game plan. So playing at home, Ross County against Dundee, they'll obviously need to play a different style. But that surprises me, that start from Gemma there, that they've not won in their last 5 at home. Because I thought they're really... No,
there's some along the lines of like 2 draws and 3 losses.
Yeah, that surprises me massively, because I always look at Ross County and think, oh God, they're really strong at home. So Don Currie will want to make that right. He'll want to correct that and change his fortunes, because I always look at Ross County as a really difficult fixture to go as an away team. So another interesting one, and like you say, Gemma says, it's probably the game of the day because there's so much riding on it. Because if Dundee win, they leapfrog Ross County. If Ross County win, they probably edge their way up the league and put a gap between them and Dundee. So a lot to play for.
Who do you plump for?
I think score draw. There you go.
All right, Jem.
I'm going to say that Ross County are going to edge it.
Alrighty, we move on. Last but not least, Gemma, you teased it a wee bit earlier there. Sunday lunch.
Didn't I? Trailed it.
Sunday lunchtime kick-off, St Johnstone versus Hearts. Fair to say the Saints have been impressive recently, but they also really need points, don't they?
The kind of great escape stalled slightly last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think we played particularly well at all against Kilmarnock. However, we did have chances, and I think for us, Mackenzie Kirk. I don't want to like put a whole load of weight on one individual's shoulders, but he's key for us in terms of what he can create up front. It's going to be a very tough ask versus Hearts. I think Hearts. I mean, take away the Rangers' defeat because I agree with Lee. I think. In terms of if it wasn't for Butland and if it wasn't for a couple of McCart's own goals were unfortunate. Yeah. If it wasn't for that, I think Hearts would have won that game and they would have continued their great run of form. The thing for St Johnstone, and it's something that we've struggled with a bit, is that we want to play this attractive attacking style of football, which gets us into troubles at times. And I'm not sure if we have often enough adapted our game to the opponent when we need to. So if we try and play open attacking football against Hearts and play it from the back through the middle, we are going to run into problems. If we manage to get the ball past our defensive third and get wide, I think we might have a couple of opportunities. I think that's where the opportunities lie. But I'm just worried that Hearts are a bit too strong.
Lee, what's your feelings about this? Hearts, as Gemma said, they played well against Rangers, maybe a wee bit unfortunate to lose. So it won't have dented their confidence, that defeat, in any shape or form, one wouldn't have thought.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I just think they've got players at 30. Your Spittle, Lord Shanklin. I just think there's players there that can score goals. And I think it's unfortunate for McCart with his own goals because he has been a really good player. He's been really, really good since he's came to Hearts. So I think he'll have a point to prove again. But in terms of Kirk, Mackenzie Kirk, I think he's a really good talent and he just works his socks off for the team and he can score goals as well, which is a real threat. But I think Hearts will edge this game.
And Gemma, you want to put your neck on the line in this one?
I mean, I don't think it's really put my neck on the line. From a fan perspective, I'd love St Johnstone to win. From a head perspective, I don't think so. I think Hearts have probably got too much.
Finally then, folks, Scotland take on Austria tonight as the national women's team open their Nations League campaign. Gemma, Caroline Weir, captain for this game, says it feels like a new chapter. Interim coach Michael McCarthy's brought in a whole heap of new players to the squad for this one, but I want to know, do you think it will be a new look starting lineup for the game?
I think he'll throw a couple in. He's talked about balance being key here. He's obviously well versed, having been under 23 coach, and the young players are coming through the system. And in terms of who he's brought in, I think at least one of them I think will start, Emma Lawton at right back. I think she's shown since her, it's been an absolute dream for her, a whirlwind last year. She's gone from Partick Thistle part-time football to Celtic, to playing in Champions League, to not looking out of place at all and being one of the standout performers in that Celtic team. So progressing her into the senior team and then trusting her to start, I think he can, because I think she's got the mentality for it. The challenge he's got is Erin Cuthbert. in terms of that balance of experience and fresh faces, she's out. She's injured. She's not available. This is a huge blow. And I guess the question is how is he going to get that balance in the team? It's very different playing senior international football than it is to playing anything else, be it age grade, be it WSL down south, or be it SWPL up here. So I think that's going to be key. How does he get that spine of the team, that experience, and lead some of these young players without exposing them too much? And they're up against Austria. Look, Austria, that's the best game he could have had to start, I think, because the other two teams are the Netherlands and Germany. So it's straight into the fire. And unfortunately, because of the Nations League now, it's great in one way. It gives you a qualifying mechanism. But in another way, there's no friendly matches. So what Scotland do in this set of matches counts towards where they'll be placed in a World Cup qualifying group. So, look, Michael's highly regarded. Lee knows him well within the game. He's sitting there as interim. I don't think it's any secret that he'd love the opportunity to be in the position full time. So he's looking at this as a bit of an addition. So if he's going to have this chance and this opportunity, he's damn well going to try and take it and put his stamp on what that looks like. And I think that's a really brave thing, and it's exciting. On the flip side of that, you've got to caveat that with it's his first foray into senior women's football at this level as well. So you've got to balance that off with understanding the needs and the demands that come with senior international football.
And it's Nations League, the top division of that league, and it comes against the backdrop of another ultimate failure in a qualifying campaign.
Yeah, I think just going back to what Gemma was saying, Michael McArdle's very, very good coach, and he will be playing the audition of his life. He'll want that job 100%, and he'll give everything for that. So I'm sure he'll equip his team as best as he can, but it'll be tough. You look at putting your young players into that situation. They play with no fear, but you still need that experience round about. But I just hope, fingers crossed, that hopefully it goes well for Michael, because he's a very, very good coach and a very good person as well.
That, as we say in the business, is that for today. Many thanks to our guests Gemma Fay and Lee Miller. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day. So to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on your phone. Have a great weekend, folks, and take care.
He was one of the most enigmatic owners in football.
Can you describe Vladimir Romanov in one word? Mysterious.
His roller coaster reign of Hearts had incredible highs.
Hearts beat by 1-0.
And remarkable lows.
He fires the coach right there on the bus in front of all the team.
So who was Vladimir Romanov, and where is he now?
If you gave this storyline to a Hollywood filmmaker, it'd get rejected. Too incredulous.
I'm Martin Geisler, and this is Romanov, Tsar of Hearts. Listen on BBC Sounds.